I like to do these and kind of, when I do them, sometimes I'll do them like rainbow themed, where it'll be multiple colors, or I'll just do all the cool colors or just do all the warm colors. And that makes it really interesting and fun. So all I'm doing is I'm just cutting off, you know, sections of tape, depending on how big your area is. Mine's quite big. And I'm just laying down the tape flat. And then I'm kind of smoothing it out with my hands, pressing it down. And then I'm just gonna make little, like I said, little shapes is perfect. And you can do this lots of different ways. There's no right or wrong way to do this. It's just gonna leave whatever we put the tape down will be plain. So this is a lot of fun. There's gonna be a little triangle shape. All right, so what I'm gonna do now is I'm just gonna show you guys coloring in a shape. So I have lots of colors to pick from. I went and bought multiple colors, and I'll probably do this one will be all the colors. But like I said, you could do cool colors, or you could do warm colors, or you could do maybe shades of your favorite color, depending on your chalk pack that you get. But all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna color in one color per section. I'm not gonna put, for this one, I'm not gonna put similar colors next to them. I'm gonna make them all different colors, but if you wanted to, you could do it all one color. There's so many different options to do. So all I'm gonna do is my chalk. And for the chalk, if you want the color to be more vibrant, you just wanna go over the spaces so you can't see any of your pavement. And that's really the ticket to making it more vibrant. So I can even go onto the edges of where I put that tape. And I'm gonna color all with chalk. It's really a lot of fun. And you can do this with a friend or a sibling and make your own mosaic artwork, which is what I love, because it makes it a little bit different than just regular chalk art that you've seen. And then after we're all finished, after you've done all of your colors, you can kind of blow off all the excess chalk, go back in, make sure you got all of the pavement color so it's nice and a solid color. You can remove the tape and it'll leave, like I said, the lines that you don't put that tape is over will be the pavement. So it's really simple and easy. And what I'll do is I will go through, after we get done today, I'm gonna do my whole section here, and then I'll take a picture and show you guys. So it's really simple. So I'll color one more piece while we're here, and then we're gonna move to the drawing part. How many of you guys have done this before? Has anyone made mosaic sidewalk art chalk? Has anyone done this before? It's a lot of fun. I'm gonna go in with purple, I think, next. Okay, Sarah says that she's done it. It makes it just really colorful, and it's a great way to decorate your driveway or your sidewalk. It's very joyful when you come home and you see that you have this beautiful piece of art. And if you can do it in this spot that doesn't get rain, it'll stay for quite a while. All right, so that purple looks pretty good. And if you can find the chalk that has the little tip, it makes it a little bit easier. All right, I really colored that one in good. All right, that looks great. All right, so I will continue that, and I will take off the tape and then show you guys. Like I said, I'll send the picture to our camp counselor, and we can see what we do. But it's so much fun. You just kind of keep going with the tape, make little sections, make sure you push down the tape so there's no gaps, so none of the chalk is in between. And you can do this on paper. You don't have to do this if you don't have a pavement. You could actually do this with smaller pieces of tape on paper, and you can tape off and do the same thing on paper. You could also do this with paint. If you have a canvas and you like to paint, I like to do this as a really fun project for some of the older kids too, is that we'll take and make mosaic on a canvas and then paint in different colors of paint, let it dry, and then remove the tape, and it becomes a really cool mosaic art project. So how many of you guys are gonna try this at home? Is anyone going to give this a try at home? So easy and fun. Just remember, you can't use Scotch tape. It probably doesn't work. And you know, if you can find something like a little bit thicker of a tape, this is perfect. Alex said that they're doing it right now. That's perfect. Very cool. All right. So I wanted to show you guys a couple different options for chalk. Like I said, we talked about the Crayola chalk that you get, or sometimes they're a little bit thicker sticks when you get like a variety of chalk. But there are some other things that you can get when you go to the store. How many of you guys have seen the chalk that teachers, I don't know if teachers do it now because everything's whiteboards, but how many of you guys have remembered the chalk that maybe teachers used on the blackboard? Right? They're a little bit thinner and they're called drawing chalk. Yeah, like the white chalk, Willow, you got it. All right, well, you can get this at the store too, and Crayola makes it as well. And this is a little bit of a skinnier chalk, all right? And this is called drawing chalk. So this might be the chalk that you might have seen a teacher do on a blackboard. What I like to do is I like to get this for paper, and you can draw on it as well. So this is also pretty inexpensive. This one here did not come with a white, but it comes with lots of different colors. And what I like to do is I like to grab always a dark piece of paper. And the reason why I like to grab a dark piece of paper is because the chalk, besides using black, really does show up well. So I have a black piece of paper here, and I really like grabbing a little bit, this is larger than computer paper. It's a little bit bigger because when I like to draw, you know, I like to have a lot of paper. So if you can find a larger piece of paper, that's great. But what we're gonna do today is we're gonna draw some things with the lighter colors. So I was thinking about doing a landscape to show you guys with this, and then I'll show you a couple different options for some other things you can find at the store. So again, this is drawing chalk, you guys can see, and I just got it from Crayola, really easy. And what we're gonna do today is we're gonna do a landscape. So if you have, do any of you guys have some dark piece of paper in front of you, or even if you have white paper, that's fine as well. And again, you could do this with something that's not chalk. You could do this with paper and pencil. You could do this with oil pastels. We'll talk about that in a minute. But I just want to share with you guys a real quick drawing. So does anyone know what landscape means? Does anyone know what landscape means? It's a term we talk about in art. Does anyone know what landscape means? See, if you know, let me know in the chat box. So we have Willow drawing a photo of the land, natural surroundings. All right, when we talk about landscape, there's a couple of different things that we talk about. When we talk about drawing a landscape, we're talking about drawing the land. Just like when we talk about portraits, we talk about drawing people. But there's a couple things to think about when you go to draw a landscape. When people come to middle school, this is like a really basic thing I like to talk about at the beginning. There's two things. One is the position of your paper. So when we hold a paper this way, it's called portrait style. And this is great to draw people because you have a lot of room to draw their face and their body. But when we want to draw like the land or maybe an ocean or mountains, right? So we want to make it landscape. And when you guys go to print your paper, there's an option when you go to print your paper to print it portrait, which might be when you're writing a paper or an essay. Or if you're printing out like a collage or a picture, you might want to do it landscape. Well, this is landscape. So I want you guys to turn your paper to landscape, right? Not portrait because we don't have a lot of room. We want it to be landscape. So landscape, we're going to make our paper landscape. A couple of students aren't familiar with that term, so I like to go over that at the beginning. All right, so our paper is landscape, and we're going to do that. We're going to draw the land. Now, when we start drawing a landscape, I like to talk about the horizon line. Does anyone know what a horizon line is? It's a little bit of a middle school term, but I'm sure some of you guys, that if you guys are younger, you might know. Willow knows because she's had my class. It's where the sky and the land meet. So when you look out, right now I'm looking outside. But when people come to art class, they generally draw the sky at the very top, and then they'll draw the land, and then they'll leave the in-between white on a white piece of paper. They don't color it. They just draw a little bit of blue and then the green down here. Well, the sky and the land, if you look outside, actually meet. There's not this like void, right? So what I always tell people to do is when they start their landscape is to draw the horizon line. And again, that's where your sky and your ground's gonna meet. So we'll make this, maybe we'll make this nighttime because we have a black piece of paper. But our night sky is still gonna meet our land. And I'm just gonna draw, I like to draw a little wavy land because a lot of people have trouble drawing a straight line, which is fine. So, and around Pittsburgh and in Pennsylvania, right, we have some hills. So I just like to draw a little bit of a wavy line. It's really easy. And I draw it on our paper all the way across. And we're using that chalk, you guys can see. All right, so go ahead and do that. And then this is where our ground's gonna be. This is where our sky is gonna be. So it's super easy. So what you could do now is you could color in with chalk the ground. I like to add little details to our drawing. So I'm gonna go in with a little bit of a lighter green and make a couple blades of grass. Again, you could do yours, different. There's so many different ways. You could draw some flowers. You could draw, I like to draw some big ones, some little ones. All different kinds of directions. A few little blades of grass. All right, and that's in a lighter green. And then what you could do is you can go back in with your darker green and fill in around. And again, it would be the whole area. Now I'm gonna do this a little bit quicker because with chalk, it takes a little bit longer to really get a solid color. But for this, we're just gonna, you can be a little bit looser with your drawing. It doesn't have to be completely shaded in to kind of see that we're coloring in our grass. Right, I actually kind of like seeing the black paper through and it not being completely perfect. All right, just to show you guys, this is our land. All right, and now what we're gonna do is we're gonna draw maybe a tree. And again, this is gonna be nighttime, so maybe we'll draw a moon. Has anyone looked at the moon this week? What color has the moon been? Let me know in the comments. Has anyone been outside? Did you go outside for the 4th of July and see the moon? Steven said a little bit yellow. Yep, it was almost like an orangish red here, right? Just recently. You have a chance, look at the moon this upcoming night, see if it's still that color. So maybe we'll make an orangish red moon. It was orange for you, Larry? Okay. All right, so I just quickly, and the nice thing about chalk too is that you can use your, when you do chalk, I'll try to hold this so you guys can see. When you do chalk, what you can do is you can smudge it, which is what I love about chalk, is that you can take your finger and kind of blend in where the chalk is, and it kind of makes it a blurry. Can you guys see the difference? It's kind of hard to see because I'm outside. All right, do you guys see where I smudged it? What's nice about chalk is you can kind of go back in and smudge with your finger. So I love that about chalk. This is one of my favorite mediums to use. All right, so we're gonna go in, we'll make an orangish moon because we talked about it being orange. You can make a big circle for your moon. And again, you can go over it and then smudge it, which is kind of fun. It makes it kind of a softer look. So maybe I'll take a different finger. I won't take the one I put in green, but I'll kind of smudge, make it a little bit softer. All right, and then what we can do is we can draw a tree. So I have a brown piece, and actually my chalk actually broke, so that I have 2 pieces. Now, a lot of times when I taught at a brick and mortar school where it was in person, and a lot of students, whenever we would do chalk, is they would say, "Oh, my chalk broke, Mrs. Jaroudi. I have to get a new piece of chalk." or my crayon broke. And actually when it breaks, that's fine. It doesn't mess up the chalk. It doesn't become a different color. It just kind of gives you two different options now. We have a longer piece and a shorter piece. And sometimes the shorter piece is actually easier for you to get a grip and to hold. So I always tell students, don't worry if your crayon breaks or if your chalk breaks, it's totally fine. So we're gonna draw a tree trunk. And I like to draw it kind of like an H, like a wide H. And then what I do for trees is I like to draw a V in the middle. This is really easy. You see the V? And now it becomes two different branches. And I like to teach students that you kind of just widen each branch and then you add another V and it becomes two more branches. So it just keeps multiplying, right? And then you can add as many branches as you want. So you can have a ton. We like to make spooky trees in our class as well, where we add a ton, maybe when the leaves start falling. That's really fun. And you can just keep going. So I'm just gonna go ahead and add a couple. We'll make it kind of a full tree, just to show you guys. All right, that looks pretty good. All right, so it's a good quick tree. And you guys can see it looks a little bit more realistic than some of the other trees. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add some, we'll make it a nice full tree. And then I love to have two different greens because I can go back in with a lighter green and add some extra details. So maybe I wanna go in and color it multiple shades of green. We can do a lot of fun, depending if you're making this realistic or if you're making this more vibrant and kind of cartoon-like. You can go back in and then you can color it multiple different colors green. And then from there, you can add anything you want. If you want to add a house, maybe we'll add a house in here as well before we move on to the next medium I'm going to show you. So maybe we'll add a house, and you can do this in white chalk if you have it. You can do it any color. I'm going to add a chimney with some smoke. Door. We can even make our house 3D. There's an easy way of making your house kind of three-dimensional to add a side. You guys see that? Adding in like another side of the roof and then the side of the house is really easy. You can make a pathway to the grass. There's so many different ways you guys can do it. So I'm just showing you, this is just the drawing chalk. So you have a lot of control because it's a little bit skinnier than trying it with like sidewalk chalk. So if you're gonna do it at home on paper, try to see if you can find drawing chalk. I'm gonna show you guys a different project now with a different medium, because whenever we do chalk or you go to the art store or craft store, there's so many different options. I just want to show you guys. All right, another option you guys have is something called chalk markers. So if you ever go to the craft store and you see chalk markers, they're a lot of fun. Now what you have to do is you have to open them and then you have to shake them. And this gives you even a little bit more control. So maybe this time we'll do it portrait style. So change your paper, or you could just follow along. This is portrait style. And maybe we'll do some jellyfish, right? That's fun. All right, so jellyfish, and you could do this in any chalk that you have. You can do this with paper, it doesn't matter. Lots of different options. But anytime I do jellyfish, and I'm doing this upside down, so bear with me, I like to do a shape of kind of like a half circle and then a line in between. And you guys could see that the chalk art is a lot smoother than regular art. It's a little bit thinner, so you have more control if you get the marker. And then I like to do these wavy lines for our jellyfish. Okay, and I like to do it portrait style so you guys have a lot of room to do. Can you guys still see from back there? I'll keep showing you guys up close. It's a little bit shady right now. And you can do different sizes. What I like to do with jellyfish is do a couple big ones and little ones to give some variation. Do you guys know what variation means? Can you guys let me know in the chat box? We're doing a lot of vocab today. landscape, horizon lines, variation, difference. Good job. So I like to give some difference in my drawings. That just makes it a little bit more interesting. Even when you do landscapes or you do portraits or you do any kind of drawings, sometimes doing variation in where you place things is kind of a lot of fun. We're doing variations in the colors we use for our mosaic chalk that I'm gonna finish, and different shapes and different things. Just makes it a little bit interesting. So again, I'm drawing this upside down, so bear with me. But I have a bunch of jellyfish now. See, really simple. And what you could do now is you could add different designs on your jellyfish, which is fun. And then you can even color them in with the chalk marker or whatever supplies you have at home. We could do circles, we could do zigzags, and then you can add any details you want to the background. Maybe you want to add like the bottom of a boat, or you want to add a different kind of like a different kind of animal, or some algae at the bottom, or maybe some buried treasure is a lot of fun. And then with my seaweed, I'm gonna do at the bottom, I'm just gonna make it a variation in height, different sizes. And again, that makes the drawing a little bit more interesting instead of it all being the same, right? All right, I'm gonna show you guys the algae that I drew upside down. Kind of like the bottom of the grass, you guys see? All right, so that's chalk markers. They give you a little bit more control. So kind of the least control you're gonna get is the sidewalk chalk that you buy. And then a little bit more control is the drawing chalk. And then you have the chalk markers give you the most control. And this is kind of similar to markers, and it's similar to a pencil. So it's a little bit thinner and kind of easier. But again, if you're going to use like a white chalk marker, it's better to use it on a darker paper so it really pops and stands out. If we use this on a white paper, it wouldn't look as vibrant. All right, the last drawing medium I wanted to talk about is oil pastels. How many of you guys have used oil pastels before? I got a new piece of paper. How many of you guys have used oil? Okay, a couple people have used oil pastels. Oil pastels are kind of similar to chalk. That's why I wanted to share with you guys it, and you can get them at your craft store as well. All right, and oil pastels are very similar to chalk. They have, let's see, I'll read the back of it. It says it has bright and intense colors. They're smooth and easy to apply, perfect for blending, which I know a couple people said here. And they come in, this is a student junior artist pack. They come in like lots of colors. These are so much fun. Again, if you can get to if you guys go to a craft store and see oil pastels or see them online, they're fun to play with. And let's do a landscape of a hot air balloon. Does that sound like fun? I love a hot air balloon landscape, so let's do that. All right. So again, we're gonna draw that horizon line. I'm gonna grab a green, and so they're really small, just to show you guys the shape of it. Like this is that drawing chalk that we had, and then this is the oil pastels. So a little bit smaller gives you a little bit more control of the point. And I like to put it at an angle, so only one part, just to show you guys the control, is that when you draw with a oil pastel or you draw with some chalk, you should always kind of hold it like you do a pencil. And so that lets you only get one edge instead of putting it directly on and doing it straight down. So you can see, you guys can see a little bit of the difference, is that if you tilt it, it gives you a little bit more of a drawing control edge, kind of like a pencil. I always tell my students to hold it like a pencil. So let's draw our horizon line. Do you guys remember what a horizon line is? Someone who didn't know what it was before, let me know in the chat. Well, a horizon line, again, is when the sky and the ground meet. So I'm just going to do a wavy one with my oil pastel all the way to the edge. Did you see that? All right. And what we're going to do is you can color that in. You can add any details to the bottom of it that you like. You can add, you want to add in trees or a bench or mountains in the background. That's a lot of fun. And then what we're gonna do for our balloon is I'm gonna grab maybe a red oil pastel, and I can put in a couple different balloons. So we're gonna do a hot air balloon. So similar to that jellyfish shape, right? Make a balloon, and then what we're gonna do is we're gonna add a basket. So I'm gonna add the basket down below. So kind of like a square for our basket. That one's kind of low. We'll say that one's landing. And then I'm gonna grab a darker color, maybe for the ropes. And then you can add the little flame to the fire that they use to make it go. And then inside the balloon, you can add all different kinds of designs. So maybe use some different colors and make some different designs. Then you can go back in and color them. All right, let's make an orange one over here. We'll make one flying. So again, it's kind of a balloon shape similar to the jellyfish. And then we'll make the basket is kind of a square. And then the ropes to hold it together. And then you could go back and add a little flame. And then you can add designs. So maybe this one we'll do like the opposite. Okay. And then you could color it in really simple. Kind of hard to see because I didn't color it in yet, but and what's nice about the oil pastels is you can take your finger just like you did with the chalk and blend. So this one also, this is the one I wanted to mention it to you guys because it's very similar to the chalk, and that you can take your finger and blend. All right, I'll hold it up. Let me just finish this one part and then I will hold it up for you guys to see. And again, you can make this at nighttime, or maybe you want to make this during like sunrise or sunset is really fun. Kind of hard to see because it's on dark paper. I'm just going to quickly color this in. And then you can color in your basket and add a lot of other details. Do you guys know what details means when I say details? You can draw lots of other ones. This is a really, really easy, simple drawing.